Aquaman number 2, written by Jeff Johns, art by Ivan Reis. Where we last left off, Aquaman was deciding that he wanted to live on land permanently with Mera, and he was sick of Atlantis. And a couple fishermen out in a boat were being attacked by some sharp-toothed fish-looking monster things. We pick up with the sharp-toothed fish-looking monster things attacking the boat. They get on board, and they just start slaughtering these guys. They keep on chanting how they're food over and over and over again. The one guy says, like, "What do you want?" He's like, "Food." But he says it in a garbled up text speech that's translated for the benefit of us. At one point during this slaughter, like an alpha shows up, is the best way I can describe it. He's got like catfish whiskers. He's a bit more torn up from fights. And he sprays one of the guys with something out of his mouth to signify that this belongs to the alpha. Like it's specifically, no one else can touch it. It's just his. But after they're done slaughtering the entire boat, they look out at the coastline and see lights up on the horizon. They're like, oh, maybe that's more food. Let's go there. And of course we see that it's a dock, and on the dock is a little boy and his mother, and he's like, "Look, Mommy, it's Daddy's boat. Let's say hi." And yeah, it's going to be tragic. So then we get a cut to Aquaman's home, and they're looking through photo albums, him and Mera, and there's a picture of Arthur skiing. And he's like, "Aquaman was skiing?" And Arthur points out that, like, yeah, when I was young, my dad took me, like, really far away from the ocean, trying to get, thinking that getting away from it would make things easier, but that clearly didn't work out. But hey, now that we're on land, I guess you could try skiing too. And she's like, "Oh, I look forward to it." Then they see a picture in the photo album of someone standing next to Arthur and his dad. Mera makes a comment about it, but Arthur's like, "That picture shouldn't be here." Unclear as to what it means, but it's set up. Then there's a knock on the door. There's a sheriff. He's screaming for help. Aquaman opens the door shirtless, and he's like, "Wow, okay, you look like Aquaman, but I can't tell because you're not wearing orange." He's like, "I'm Aquaman. What do you want?" Mera shows up next to him. He's like, "Oh, Mera, Aquawoman," he actually says. "Aquaman, I thought you were a mermaid or something." He's like, "No, I control water." She shows it off for everyone. And Arthur's like, "Okay, so what can we do for you?" He's like, "Oh, yeah, right. Down the beach, a couple miles, there was a monster attack that came from the sea. You can talk to fish, right?" So then we see the aftermath of what happened, and it's just a bloodbath on this dock. The ship crashed into it. There's just blood everywhere. Aquaman shows up. He's like, "Wow, you guys got Navy, you got Coast Guard, you got everybody here. I guess I'll see if I can help." Then apparently the real sheriff comes up because the guy who got Aquaman was actually just the deputy. And he's like, "Are you kidding me? Like, Aquaman? You got Aquaman involved in this?" And deputy's like, "He saved my sister last year. I thought he could help." He's like, he's friggin' Aquaman, and we've got missing people. We have actual problems, and you called in Aquaman? And Aquaman's like, "Okay, well, I'm just gonna check things out if nobody minds." And so he does a scan of the water to see if there's anything he can, like, feel out there, and he doesn't find anything. There's no marine life, period. There's no fish at all. And he's like, "All right, that's weird." But as he's doing that, they find something in the water, they pull it out, and they claim that it's some sort of a cocoon. At least that's what it looks like. And as they pull it out, it starts doing that same garbled text of the food, food, food. Aquaman can hear it, and he's like, "All right, fight time." And all the sharp-toothed fish monster things come out of the water and start fighting everyone, eating everyone. They unload their weapons. Aquaman says, like, "Oh, I don't recognize him, so let's go for it." And they start fighting, him and Mera. At one point, one of them tries biting Aquaman, and the teeth just shatter on his armor. So he's clearly not in any real trouble. But then the Alpha shows up, and he grabs Aquaman's trident right out of his hand. And he does the spit thing on Aquaman to claim, like, okay, he's not to be eaten because this food comes home to the trench, is the last scene. So they're bringing Aquaman back to the trench. I like it. It's a good issue. It's forwarding the plot more than I think the first issue did. The first issue was just setting up, hey, Aquaman's actually kind of badass. Whereas this one's like, okay, we're dealing with the trench. So we're moving forward. And I think it's good pacing overall. It's only really like 4 scenes if you really build it down to that. You have the scene on the boat, the scene where they're looking at the photo album, the scene where they're doing the investigating, and the scene with the fight. So it's good pacing overall for just a normal size comic issue. I have zero faults with the art. It's fantastic throughout. It's so detailed and so well done. Coloring does a lot of that as well. And I guess I'll just say the colorist is Rod Rees, which I guess is brother or something to Ivan Rees. It's spelled the same. But no, it's very good. I'm definitely looking forward to continuing Aquaman. And yeah, it's such a simplistic issue. I don't have a lot to say about it, but it is very good. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a 7.5. If it did something more amazing with Aquaman, I might bump that up, but it is still a very solid issue, and I'm looking forward to more.